I've actually let this colonize a bit longer than I would want it to. There's not a lot of open space, but I'll take a chunk when I think it looks good. There. If you ever get a chunk of agar stuck to your scalpel, you know, agar that you don't want, like leftovers, you can either just burn it off or wipe it off. Sometimes it's easier just to burn it off and keep on going. And I'll take a cut from another part of the dish that looks interesting. Yeah, try again. Chunk got away from it. Poured this dish a little too thick. Come on. There we go. Yeah, if you get it too thick, sometimes it's just easier to stab the chunk. Oh wow, see. And now I've kind of screwed up with this one because the agar cooled right at the lip. I don't think I'm gonna. Oh, there. There's no way I'm getting that in there. Well, maybe so. Alright, I did get it in there. Barely. Now I'll rewrap that dish as well. Alright, now I can get out my paraffin. I bought a new roll of that, which when you buy it, notice it comes in a large roll like this. Make sure that if you're going to use it from the original packaging, to put this into a Ziploc bag so that it stays clean. Yeah. Wipe it down. Wipe it down with alcohol before you put it in there so it stays clean as well. Then you won't have to always re-wipe your roll like I'm doing. Because it should be sterile inside the box. For these slants, take about 2.5, 3 squares of parafilm. Fold it in half, and then I'm gonna look for like a marking of like lime or something on the cap so I know its position, and then give it 1 revolution. like so. You'll see it's still a bit loose. And then do your best not to touch the inside area of the cap and the rim of the tube meats, and you just stretch and pull your doubled over parafilm, press it together. It's nice and secure. By doubling over the parafilm, wrapping it around a few times, it will slow down the drying of your agar culture in the refrigerator. You don't want it to dry out. But you still want it to breathe. And once you put the parafilm over it, you can set these test tubes out wherever, in your lab space or whatever area you're using to let it colonize. Just remember to label them right away. Notice too that where I've labeled these in the past on the frosted area where they have areas for marking, I can't get that off whatever solvent I use. It's on there pretty good, so I always ignore what's on the frosted areas and just write on the tube itself. The king oysters. 8 on the 26. And that will last about 6 months in the fridge, you know, after it colonizes. And it'll colonize this top of the popsicle stick all the way down just into the bottom of the agar there. And then when it gets down to that point, that's where you can put in the refrigerator. But shouldn't take more than like a week or so. So I'll set that on the shelf with everything else. And in about a week, we'll see how well it looks. You can see I have some actual half-gallon ball jars, Ball brand mason jars. A lot taller and narrow than my other half-gallon jars that I would standardly use. See these? And the reason I got these is because, for one, I can grab it with one hand and maneuver it easily. It has the design textures and the volume numbering on the sides that give you a good grip. That's really the main reason. That way I can grab it with one hand and then manipulate the opening of a grain bag with the other. Make it easy that way. But you can see it's going to be a challenge because these are so tall. I only have about 3 inches of clearance between this and the top of the flow hood. So I think what I got to do, if I'm doing a liquid transfer, I'm going to have to give it a tilt as I pour the other one in. For instance, I'm going to use the last little bit I have of this King Oyster Mastered liquid culture that I made. Pull it off there. Not a whole lot in there. Go ahead and loosen the lids off a couple of these. I'll do it one at a time. But you know, loosen the lid, get the point we're taking off. See if I can get a finger underneath this so I can position it. And then yeah, I'm gonna tilt them both. Yeah, that worked just fine. Kind of lowers the profile. Get it in there. You gotta take into consideration too how high you're bringing this jar up. So if I bring it any higher than that, it's gonna be above the flow of sterile air. Might even want to give it a tilt too when you're removing and placing the lid back on, just so it stays underneath the top space. You know, try to do all your work as close to the front of the hood as you can, so you're getting as much clean air as possible. Those two. Now I'm going to try to get some of these wedges of agar into these jars without any problems. I'm just going to do these two jars King Oyster as well. I think I'll make some extra jars if I want to try the entoloma. But yeah, I need to get as much King Oyster liquid culture as I can going at the start. Dry out. Kind of think I almost want to do this the opposite direction I normally would. No, with the flame to the left of me, the culture to the left of me. But we'll see. Pull this off from here. I'm gonna slice this up like a pie. Since I'm using the whole dish, I can use the lid to kind of brace so the dish isn't sliding around. And if the agar doesn't go all the way to the edge, no point throwing in uncolonized agar, so let's go ahead and cut out the entire section you'd like to use. see. Get it on there. You want to spear it at an angle. This is where having thicker agar actually helps, because then you get these chunks into the jar much more easily. And again, if you accidentally touch the tip of your scalpel to the rim of the jar or to the rim of your dish, go ahead and re-sterilize. The more separate chunks of agar you add to your liquid culture, the faster it's going to colonize, because there's more points of inoculation. A lot of times I'll just let my petri dish fully colonize before I do this. And then you can use the entire dish pretty much. And it'll colonize really fast that way. See, I cut out the area if I want. Basically making it into 8 slices. And if you can't get all 8 in there, no big deal. Just make sure you keep it low so you're not getting your scalpel above your. Try not to get your scalpel inside the rim either. Just kind of like let it slide right off and fall on it. Alright. Now, for both the agar wedge transfers to a liquid culture and pouring from one culture to another, I usually don't mix these up at the start. Let them go for about 3 to 5 days till you start seeing the mycelium grow off the agar, at least 1/4 inch or so, and then give it a mix up, and that'll knock the mycelium off the agar and spread it throughout the liquid culture. Before I toss out this dish of abortive entoloma, I figure it'd be good for you all to take a really close look at it. You see it has little bumps of mycelium here and there. Kind of changes direction It has a musty smell to it. Very musty.